I'm Richard from Pleasureway Industries, and today we'll be doing a walkthrough on your Ontour 2.0 Pleasureway unit. So we're going to start here right at the door, move our way around, show you all the components, then go inside and finish off with the appliances and stuff inside. So we're going to start right at the driver's door. We'll open it up here, and just behind the driver's door is our fuel fill. So this is a capless fuel fill. So this, like I said, when you pull up to the station, you just open your door, pop this open, and the hose just pops right in there. And then when you're done, you close that up, and that seals up your gasoline fill right there on the side. So we have our occupant and cargo carrying capacity sticker. Like I said, this gives us tire pressures, tire sizes, how many people can be legally driven inside the vehicle, and like I said, how much cargo we can carry inside the unit. All right, so as we move down, like I said, the first thing we come across is our shower unit here. So we pop that open, and inside we've got our little shower hose here with hot and cold running water. Like I said, a little place to hang our shower. Great for washing the bikes and kids. Like I said, Lisa, one thing we want to remember about this is when we're winterizing, when we're pumping the antifreeze through the system, remember to come out here and run each tap separately to make sure that you've got the pink antifreeze flowing through this tap. Okay, and then when you're done, make sure you pop it up, close it up, and lock it away so that it stays closed for travel for you. Behind that, we have our utility center. So our utility center has a few different options. Now, one of the first things we're going to talk about is right at the top left-hand corner here is our propane switch. Now what this is this is a electronic valve on your tank, so you don't have to get underneath to open up your propane tank. All you have to do is flick that switch. As long as your power's on, like I said, your gas will now be flowing through the unit and out to your appliances. When you're going to fill your unit with either propane or gas, you want to make sure you've turned that off, and also make sure that you shut off all your appliances, just so that something doesn't try and light while you may have some fumes on around your unit. Okay, below that we have our cable TV input, or coax line. So this allows us to hook up to cable or to a portable satellite dish, and this is run directly back to where our television is inside the unit here. Beside that, we have our city water input. So this allows us to hook up a pressurized garden hose, and it will pressure up the unit just like your house would be hooked up to the city connection. So water goes in, it goes out to your sinks, showers, toilets, and stuff like that, and you have full pressure. Don't need to use your fresh tank or your water pump when you're using this. Now, again, for winterizing, we want to remember this thing as well. So what we'll do is once we've run the antifreeze out to everything, we then turn off our tap, turn off our pump. Like I said, come out here, take this little filter out, and push the little check valve inside there. You should have a little bit of water and antifreeze flowing out through this system. If you don't, like I said, just hold that on, have somebody quickly turn on the pump quickly. Like I said, it'll give it some pressure to push some of that antifreeze out. And then when you're done, put this little cap back in there, close it up to keep any dirt and dust out from when you're traveling down the road. Now, last thing in this little compartment is our cable for hooking up to shore power. So we've got our plug there, and then we have our cable that comes with the unit. Now it's got a little LED to let us know that the unit, the cable is plugged in and that we have power coming to the cable. Then we just line up our little slots in the back there, push that in, give it a little bit of a turn, and then the back collar just gives it a little spin, and it locks it in place so that that's nice and solid. So if somebody's walking by, they don't trip on your cable and pull it out of your unit, and it makes it secure for you. All right, so keep moving down. Like I said, our next thing we have is our furnace duct exhaust. So this is where, when our furnace is running, all the exhaust air comes out. This gets extremely hot when the furnace is running, so we want to make sure that there's nothing blocking this or touching this. Like I said, it'll cause some burns. Like I said, the other thing you want to make sure is that this isn't blocked by anything when your furnace is running. Otherwise, it'll choke your furnace, and your furnace won't actually run for you. All right, let's move down to this bottom and check out our sewer system. Okay, so our sewer system is along the bottom here, and we just pop this out. Like I said, and it catches like that, so now we have access to our sewer drain and our sewer hoses. They've got their own little tray here, nice and easy. And then, like I said, for draining, we just remove our cap here, hook up our sewer hose over just the same way the cap hooks on. And then we have our black and our gray valves here. So the black, of course, being our toilet and solid waste. Gray being our sink, showers, and stuff inside the unit. So when we're draining, always start with the black tank. Like I said, that way you'll get any of your solid waste flowing. And then once that's done, I pull the gray tank, and like I said, and that'll help wash out your hose, make it easier to put away when you're done. And then, like I said, just to let you know, this one only pulls out 3 inches. This one pulls out 1.5 inches, just so you know that it's not a huge pull to get those open and closed. Then make sure you push these back in when you're done, close that up, and you're ready to go. So our low points for draining, our low points in our water system are just mounted underneath the rear here, just in front of the tire. Like I said, again, we'll have 3 of them, a hot, cold, and a recirculating line. Just make sure we open those up when we're finished winterizing our system. Okay, so the next thing we have on this side of the unit is our water heater. So I just turn a little lever there. The cover comes down. It's got a couple of straps to hold it in place. And there are a couple of things we want to show you here. First, on the right hand side is our power button. Like I said, we just turn it, they said on. You'll notice there's 2 on positions. It makes no difference which one you use. They said they do the same thing. A little green light will come on at the top to let you know that the unit now has 12 volt power and that all your controls inside are now ready to be used. Now, for draining the system in the winter, they said you want to turn off the pump, release the pressure by opening a hot tap. Then I come out here and pull the PT valve. They said that will release any residual pressure in the system. Push up on this little black knob and then pull this yellow lever forward. That will release the filter. You pull the filter out, and like I said, about the 1.5 liters of water that's in the reservoir will come running out here. And I said, once it's done, then when I just close that up and push this up for the winter, and like I said, and go inside and bypass the water heater before we start pumping antifreeze in. Then in the summer, like I said, we come back out here, drop this down, slide our filter back in, put that up, snap it in place, turn on our switch, and we're ready to go for summer. All right, so now we're on the back of the unit. First thing we're going to talk about is right at the top here, we've got our backup camera. Like I said, this is wired directly into your stereo in your dash so that when you put your vehicle in reverse, it will automatically come on and give you your view behind you. You can manually go through your dash and switch it on so that you can see if you're towing something behind you, or you just want to check behind you when you're in drive. Like I said, you can do that as well, just to get your camera, your view behind you. Now, as we come down, like I said, right in the bottom of the center, we have our hitch, so we can do some towing, or we can put bike rack or cargo carrying pod, like I said. And then we've got wiring for 4-pin and for 7-pin along the one side. Now, off to the right-hand side, we have our propane fill. So this is where you need to pull up to the service station when you want to fill up your propane. Like I said, their certified techs will come out and fill your propane for you. They'll take off this yellow cap. They'll open this up, hook up their line, and start filling. When they get a little propane coming out of here, liquid propane, they know to shut off their tank and close that back up. Now, I mention this because when you leave the service station, always double check to make sure that they put this yellow cap on to keep any dirt and dust out of there. That way, when you go to fill next time, you'll have a nice clean spot. Now, in behind the hitch here is where our generator is, and we access it from this side of the generator, so nice and easy access on the back of this. And we also want to mention that this is a gasoline generator, and they said your gas tank needs to be above a 1/4 tank in order for it to start and run properly. And on your driver's side and the rear here, like I said, your exhaust for your generator comes out just behind the rear tire here. So now we'll open up the back doors and show you some of the stuff inside. So once we get these doors open, you'll notice right on the bottom center here, we've got our battery compartment. So this is our battery cover. We just pop it down. It's magnetized in place. And then there's a catch in the middle here to pop this down. And now we've got access to our lithium ion batteries. Now above our batteries, we do have our alternator breakers on either side, and then our charge line disconnect key on the far right hand side here. Off to the left hand side of our battery compartment, in behind this little piece of carpet here that just drops down like this, we have our master volt and our solar controller hidden in behind here as well. So we're going to talk about your batteries in the unit. Your unit comes with 200 amp hour lithium ion batteries. Now, to charge these batteries, there are 4 sources in this unit. First of all, your alternator. When you're running your vehicle, the alternator sends a charge back to charge the batteries. Second source would be your shore power. When you have the unit plugged in, shore power comes in, runs through your inverter and charges your battery system that way. Then your generator is another source, which creates the power, again, goes through your inverter and charges your battery system. And then your last source would be your solar system, which has its own charge controller. The power comes down through it, through your charge controller, to charge the batteries in the back. Okay, just a note about your charge system. None of those charge systems will charge your chassis battery. It will only be charged by your alternator when your vehicle is running. So one component of your charging system is a master volt charger. It is mounted in the rear by your batteries, and what it does is it prevents any surges of power coming from your alternator into the lithium ion batteries, just to make sure that it's got steady charge going into those batteries, just as a prevention method. When we're charging these batteries, there's a couple things we want to remember. First of all is that they need to be above freezing temperature in order for them to charge properly. This is 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The way to check that is on your monitors in the unit, there is a little temperature gauge with a thermistor on the batteries letting you know what temperature the batteries are at. So make sure you have that above that temperature before you start charging your system. So your batteries can discharge when the temperature is below 0, but you just want to make sure that before you start sending a charge into a battery that it gets above that 0 temperature. Now, when you're charging your battery up, the batteries include a charge management system. What this does is it protects it from overcharging. So when your battery gets to 100%, it will not accept a charge anymore. Like I said, it stops, protects the batteries, and prevents it from charging. So when your battery's at 100%, you can still you can plug in your unit or run the generator without worrying about having the temperature above 0, or even your solar system, because the batteries will not accept the charge and they'll be protected from that problem. So there's 2 sources to disconnect the batteries inside the unit. First being a little red button on your monitor that disconnects any 12-volt power source from drawing on your batteries. What this is used for is if you're not using your unit for an extended period of time and not running anything inside your unit, you turn off that and that will disconnect any source from drawing on your batteries, so your batteries will maintain the charge that they hold. One thing it will not do is disconnect charge coming to your batteries from your shore power or your generator. They will continue to charge. Now the second source is a key in the back that disconnects the charge sources from your batteries. So your solar and your alternator. So this means that it can disconnect it so you can run your vehicle when it's below 0, and your solar and your alternator will not try and charge the batteries when they're low. So a little tip about how to check to see if your batteries are actually trying to charge is to go to your monitor panel. There is a real-time amp draw or amp charge dial on it, and it will show whether or not it's a positive or charge going in or a negative draw on your batteries. If you're driving, usually it'll show about a 40 amp charge from your alternator, and when you're sitting or plugged into shore power, you'll see between 55 and 65 amp input from your inverter as well. So if you're driving and you see that your real-time amp meter is not showing a charge coming from your alternator, right above the batteries there are 2 reset breakers that prevent any overcharge hitting the battery, high amperage output. if you've lost that charge coming from your alternator, check those two. There's one on the left and one on the right hand side, and they're just a little reset switch on there that you can push to the side, and you'll hear it snap into place if it has tripped at some point. So you'll notice on your unit here that there's no battery in the front storage compartment here under the hood. Like I said, the battery is actually mounted under the driver's seat. So if you ever need to boost your unit, like I said, there are two connection points. One is under this little red tab. Like I said, that'll be your positive connection on your booster cable. And then in behind here, like I said, there's a little bolt just by your hinge here that you connect the negative to. And so that's where your two boosting points are. Okay, so we've got our seat belts here. So if we want to use the back seat for carrying people, like I said, we run our seat belts underneath this bar and then in between the cushions like so. Like I said, they just push in there. Like I said, always making sure to go under this bar. If they go over the top, like I said, then your seat belts won't work properly. So just make sure that you have them under that bar when you are using this as a carrying spot. Next, on this side, we have our little battery or tire repair kit. Like I said, so this has got a little compressor and all the tools to do a minor tire repair if you happen to have to do that on the highway for you. All right, we'll pop that in. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here and we're going to drop down our rear screen room. So just a couple little clips, one on each side, and then this panel just pops out and drops down the back here. So the bottom corner here, like I said, just pulls down and Velcros just under the edge of the carpet there. And then we've got our zippers coming down both sides of the unit to secure it, and that'll pretty much seal up the whole back and keep any bugs and stuff out. Now, when you have your bed in the down position, like I said, the bed will stop right about this section here. So we've got a couple of things here we can do. We can open this up so that we have access out through the back. Like I said, you'll notice there's a screen that's blacked out here. On the inside, there's another zipper that you can open up so that you can have the screen open while you're sleeping in bed as well. And then we also have the option of undoing that Velcro. And then just giving this a quick spin up. And then we can lock it in a partial open position. That way we have access to our storage pod in the back here. Like that. And we still have it sealed up for when the bed is in the down position. And then to put it all away, we just continue to roll it up. Snap our catches in place and then just tuck the fabric up on top of this valance here in the corner, just like so. All right, so coming down the passenger rear side, like I said, the first thing we come across is our electrical outlet on the back here. It's got a weather cover over top of it, and this plug is GFI controlled. Now this plug, all the plugs inside bathroom, kitchen, rear living space are all controlled by one GFI plug that is on the driver's side rear ottoman. Like I said, we'll show you that when we get inside and how that works. Next thing we've got is our venting for our battery box. Like I said, this just allows any excess air and stuff to come out outside the unit. Okay, next thing we come along is our fresh water fill. So this just pops open, we take the cap off, stick a garden hose in there, and that will start filling our fresh tank. As long as the valve for the fresh tank is closed, like I said, that will fill it up, like I said, and once it gets to the top, you'll get some water flowing out of here. If you want to make sure don't have that water coming out, you can also go inside and check on your control panel and watch the monitor there, and once your fresh tank shows 100%, then you can come out here, take off your hose, put your cap back on, and close this up for travel. Also, you want to make sure this is closed up before you open your door. Otherwise, like I said, it has a tendency of catching that. So just make sure that's latched before you open up your door. Now, down underneath the fenders well is where our propane Quick Connect is. Let's say, so it's got a little valve on the left-hand side here. It's a little yellow cap pops off, and now we can just hook up a Quick Connect hose to our non-regulated propane appliance, barbecue, fire pit, or the such. Like I said, make sure they are non-regulated though. This is a regulated source, and if you have two regulators in line, like I said, your appliance won't work properly. So once you're done, you just, like I said, or once you go to use it, you just flip this valve up. That allows the gas to flow, and then when you're going to leave, make sure you put this little orange cap back in, close that up. That'll keep any dirt and dust out of there for travel. Also underneath here is our drain for our fresh tank. Like I said, for winter, we want to make sure we have no water in there. So we want to make sure that this little cap is in line with this drain so that our water is flowing out. And then for summer, we just give it a quarter turn. That'll allow us to start filling our fresh tank. Okay, so let's open up the side. And the first thing we'll notice is we've got our side screen down, just like the rear, zips down the side, and like I said, seals at the bottom. But one nice feature of this is we have a magnetic door opening on the side. So while the zipper's open, like I said, we can now just come on here. There's a little catch. We give it a pull, and like I said, now we can enter without having to unzip this every time. And then when we're done, it just closes back and magnetizes back into place and seals that back up for us. Okay, so now we're going to go to our mechanical page on our system here and bring out our awning, show you how that works. So we'll just push the extend button, and our awning just, as long as we're holding the button, the awning will continue to extend. So normally we'll bring it comes out a full 8 feet on the front here. Like I said, so we're just going to shut it right there for now. Like I said, you'll notice this doesn't have any legs or anything to drop down. So this is what we consider a sunshade awning. It's designed to be out in the sun. It's not meant to be out in the rain or wind and stuff like that. Like I said, it's not, doesn't have the structural support for those extra, that extra weather. So anytime you're leaving the campground, going to bed or anything, make sure you bring your awning in before you do any of those sort of things. Now, it does have some LED lights along the under here, so you can use it at night. Like I said, they just flip on like that. And then when you go to put it away, just push the retract button, hold it, and again, it'll pull all the way in. Now, this does have a wind sensor that if your awning is all the way out and there is a couple of gusts of wind, it will rattle the awning, and the awning will automatically retract in order to prevent any damage to it in case of future gusts of wind. Your Pleasureway unit is equipped with two 10-inch touchscreen control panels, one in the front and one in the back. And today we're going to be going through the front one here to explain all the features that are included in it. We're going to start right on the top left-hand corner here. Like I said, we've got our climate control system with our thermostat adjustments at the top here. A little white button here that allows us to just finger touch to adjust the temperature settings. And below that, we have your different modes, which allow us to go through your furnace, air conditioner, and fantastic fan. As we click on it, like I said, first we get a little snowflake saying AC. Of course, the air conditioner will kick in when the temperature gets above what the thermostat is set at. Next, we've got our furnace, Trumo furnace system. Just like your house, you turn it on, set the temperature, and once the temperature gets below what the thermostat is set at, the furnace will automatically kick in and out as necessary. The last one being your fantastic fan on the ceiling. Again, like I said, when you set the temperature, when the temperature gets above what it's set at, the fan will automatically open the lid. The fan will come on to exhaust any of the excess heat inside the unit. And then when you go back around, it shuts to the off mode, and that will turn off all three of those appliances. And then on the right hand side here, we have our fan mode. So this uses the air conditioner just to move air throughout the unit. You need 110 power to run this. First we'll have fan auto, which means it will automatically kick in when the air conditioner is turned on and needs it. Or if you just want to run the fan itself, you turn that on, and there's a fan low and fan high mode, which will allow you to run just the fan on the air conditioner just to move air. Below that, we have some lighting options here. These are quick access light controls. It allows us to turn on our porch light, our entry light just inside the door, our awning light, and then the backlight for the whole screen, so that you can turn that off so that you don't get that light shining around in your unit when you're sleeping at night. So up on the top right hand side here, we've got our DC power source, and tells us how much battery life we've got. So right now we've got about 61%. The batteries are at 67 degrees Fahrenheit, so great for charging. And we've got 13.7 volts going into the battery, because right now we're at positive 59 amps. So the shore power is sending power through the inverter to charge the batteries right now at that power source. So we can see right here below it in AC source that we are in shore power. As we switch through the sources, if we unplug the unit and turn on our inverter, this will show inverter power. And then again, like I said, if we were to run the generator, it would show generator here as well. So right in the center here, we have the generator. Little lightning bolt here lets you know that it's stopped right now with a cross through it. When it started, this will light up, that little cross will go away, and this will light up blue. All you have to do is hold down the start button. You'll hear the generator start to turn over. Once you hear it catch, then you can release the start button, and the generator should start up. The power will, in about 15 seconds, the transfer switch will switch over, and you will see that the source will go from either inverter or from nothing to generator, just to let you know that the generator is running and now you have a power source. Now below that, we have our water heater. Click on it. Once you do that, it'll switch over to the Truma AquaGo screen. Now this allows you to choose two different modes, Eco or Comfort. Eco being just a mode that allows it to use the minimum amount of gas just to keep it warm. Like I said, so it makes it easier to heat up your water heater once you get to the campground. And in comfort mode being the main mode you'd use to get your constant supply of hot water. So like I said, you click on one of those, it'll turn on, and then you can adjust your temperature that will be coming out of your taps. Standard at 107 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a pretty hot temperature. So most people just leave it right in there. And then you just push the OK button, and the water heater will turn on, and it will start going through its cycle. It'll start heating the water, sending water out to the taps, so that when you turn on the taps, you'll have hot water immediately. I'm going to shut that off right now, since we're not going to be using it. We just hit the off button, and then OK, and that'll turn it back off. Now beside that is your water pump. Like I said, this is if you're using water from your fresh tank. You just turn that on. Like I said, the little blue light will come on again. Your pump will draw water from your fresh tank. Once it's pressured up to about 50 psi, it will shut itself off. And then when you ask for water, the pump will kick back on and give you a constant water supply, and then shut back off when you turn off the source, and it pressures back up. Now, speaking of your different water sources, right here on the far right-hand side, we've got our three different water sources. Our fresh tank, so that we can carry water with us, sometimes it's called the potable water. And then our gray water, which is our tank for our waste water from our sink, our shower, and our bathroom sinks. And then your black tank, which of course is your toilet, where your wastewater goes in. So right now they're all empty, so we'll say 0%. As you fill up your fresh tank, it'll go from 25, 50, 75, and 100. And of course, as you're using it, it'll slowly drop. And then the gray and the black's the opposite way around. As you're using your sinks and toilet, the water lines will go up from 25, 50, 75, and then up to 100%. And you'll know it's time to empty them out completely. I recommend not draining the gray or the black until they're at the 50 to 75% mark. Otherwise, you won't have enough moisture in there to move any, especially in the black tank, to move any of the solid waste out of the line as well. Now on the very, very bottom of that, we do have one more tank, and that is your propane tank. So right now it's empty. There's a little bit of pressure in there, just residual pressure from the tank. But when you go to a service station and fill it up, this will go all the way up to 100%. And then, like I said, as you use it, again, it will slowly move its way down, letting you know that when it's time to go and fill it up. All right, let's move on to the next screen. Your next screen is your lighting screen, your master lighting. So as you see, like I said, some of these are blue and a couple are gray. All the ones that are blue are on. You can turn them on and off individually just by clicking on them. And then you can turn them all off by using your master switch on the bottom here. That will turn those on, all except for these two middle. The reason why is those are our exterior lights, so we don't want to have them on all the time. So like I said, we've got our porch light, which is usually just outside the entry here, and then our awning, which is on the awning's front bar. Again, you can just turn it on and off, and you'll see the blue light to let you know that that light is on. On a few of these, you'll see that there's a little slider bar on them. What this allows you to do is to dim that individual light. So you just hold it down, and you can slide that little white ball back and forth, and it will dim that section. And you can set each one individually, and then again, just turn all of them off. And when you turn them back on, they'll go back to your preset settings. Makes it nice and easy for you. Let's move to the next screen. So in the top left-hand corner, we have another DC monitor, just like the one on the main screen. It'll tell us our battery power, like I said, how much power is going in and what our system is charging at. And then below that, it'll tell us that it's charging. And then on this side, while we've got power going in, it'll tell us how much time is till it's fully charged. When we disconnect it and it's drawing, this will then tell you how much time you have left on your battery power. It's a good estimation for you just to keep track of how long your batteries will be lasting for you. Now below that, we have our solar charger button here to turn it on and off. And here it'll tell you how many volts it can supply, how much charge, and how many amps. Because we're inside a building right now, it's showing 0 amps. But if we're outside, this would go up and let you know how much sunlight is charging your system. Now you can click this little button here, and this gives you a more detailed version of what it's doing and what kind of charge it's sending into your batteries, your historical amps, how many amps your batteries had put in through your solar system, what kind of batteries, we've already set that, how many amp hours, again, we've already set that because of the batteries we put in the system. And then again, we've got another thermistor gauge here to let us know the temperature at the batteries. And again, with just some extra voltage amounts here, the maximum amount charging and the maximum amount your current it's allowing through the system, all settings that we've already preset for you. So on the top right hand side of the screen, we now have our AC power. If we're on shore power, of course, it'll tell you how many volts you're coming in through your shore power, how many amps you're drawing, and then what frequency that AC power is running. Should be around 55 to 60 hertz. If you've got outside of that range, there may be a problem with your power source. And again, if your voltage, like I said, it'll tell you at your campground whether or not you've got good power coming in. You should have in the 100 to 120 volt coming in at the campground there. Now on the right hand side of that same screen, we've got our energy management system. Depending on what source you're using, this will control if you're drawing too much power on your system. What it does is if, say, you've got 30 amp and you're drawing too much power, like I said, say you're using your cooktop and your microwave and something else, what'll happen is this will automatically adjust and shut off your microwave first, make sure that everything else continues to run, and then if it's still drawing too much power, it'll cut off your cooktop until it equalizes that power. Then once whatever the other source is that's drawing too much power, so once it's shut down, then these will slowly kick back on, cooktop first, and then microwave, and restore power to those sources for you. Below that, we have our AC source, sort of like on the front, but this shows all three sources at the same time, and then just sends the little blue line up to the source that we're using right now. So right now we're using our shore power. If we turn that off, it would come over to inverter because we've got the inverter on. And then if we wanted to use the generator, we turn on the generator and it would switch from inverter to generator because it considers generator the primary source. So a generator will take over from inverter and give you your charge from that. Now below that we have another place to start up our generator, just like on the front screen, a start and stop button that we can manually do it. Or on the left hand side of it, we have our AGS system, or automatic generator start. What this does is allows us to set all the times and such that we want. So we can go into a manual where you can physically go in and adjust all the little things. I like to just use easy setup. It's the easiest one for most of our customers. What it does is allows it to go through and allows when you want to start the generator, whether or not you want it when the air conditioner kicks on, when the batteries get low, how low you want the batteries to get before it will start up automatically, how charged you want the batteries to get before it will shut off the generator, and then how long you want it to run. So if you've got it kicking in when your air conditioner kicks in, this lets you know that once your air conditioner gets to temperature and your air conditioner kicks off, how long you want to let the generator to keep running to keep charging up the battery after the air conditioner is kicked off. And then the bottom is anytime it starts, what's the maximum time you want it to run. So whether or not you want it charging or whether or not you want the air conditioner running, do you only want it to do it for 2 hours? Do you want it to do for 1 hour and such? So that gives you that option as well. Next, we've got our quiet time settings. So a lot of campgrounds don't allow you to run your generator during certain hours. So you can automatically set this so that your automatic generator start system will not kick in during those times. And you can set it for each individual campground if you like. Just go in and adjust before you park and it'll do it for you automatically. Then you just put finish and all of your settings are set. Then you just push the AGS button. Hold the continue button for 5 seconds. And your little AGS light will come on to let you know that all those settings you just set are ready. We're going to turn that back off so it doesn't kick in. When you do it manually, it'll give you a little notice to let you know why the generator AGS is no longer working. In this case, the user manually disabled the AGS. So that's the one you're probably going to see the most often when you shut it off manually. And then you continue and it'll go back to your main screen. All right, let's move on to the next screen. Our next screen is our mechanical screen, and it runs a few of the mechanical items on our unit. First, our fantastic fan on our right-hand side here allows us to open and close the lid electronically. And then once it's open, we can turn on the fan and we can adjust the fan speed here, at least physically. Unlike the main screen where you can do it thermostatically, this allows you to manually turn on and off your fantastic fan and just run it however you like, say for venting while you're cooking or the such, just for a short period of time. And then when you shut it down, it automatically turns off the fan and closes the lid for you. On the top left-hand corner here, we have our sofa. So this is for making your bed up. All you have to do is push the button and hold it. Like I said, you'll actually see your sofa reclining into the flat position. Once it's done, you just let go. And then to retract it back into your seating position, you just hold the retract button and wait until it gets to its full retract position. And then let go once you see it get to the top. And below that, we have our awning. Again, just hold the button to extend your awning. Once it gets all the way to the end, you just release. A lot of times I'll bring it all the way out and then you'll see the fabric sort of sag a little bit. So then I'll just tap the retract button just a little bit to tighten up the fabric for you. And then when you go to put it away, you push the retract button, hold it until you hear the awning click back into place. Now there is one little thing at the bottom here. If you see this is when your vehicle is running. You'll see a little red light here to let you know that your awning is locked out. What this means is your awning will not extend or retract when that button is on. So on our last page, we have sort of generic adjustments. It allows us to adjust our temperature units, whether or not we want Fahrenheit or Celsius. Allows us to adjust the backlighting on the screen. So if you find it's too hard on your eyes, you can adjust that. We've got our clock, so you can adjust it for your time zone, wherever you are. And then screen settings allows us to adjust how long the screen stays on once we're not using it, whether or not we want a dark or a light scheme. what page you want to come up automatically, whether or not you want your light page to come up or the home screen, and which lights you want on that main screen. And then below that, we've got our diagnosis. It's mainly for us to give us some idea of if there's any problems. It'll give some red lights to let you know that things aren't working. The G12 is almost like our fuse panel. It'll show little blue lights for circuits that are on running right now, so living room lights and such like that. And then gray lights for ones that are off at the moment. And then if there's a problem, it'll show one of these as a red light. All you have to do is turn the main battery disconnect off, hold it for a few seconds, turn it back on, and it'll reset those switches, and you can come back and check on those. And then the DCM3 gives you some more detailed information about battery health and diagnostics with some current power flow, and again, another battery temperature setting. And then if there's any major faults, it'll come up here, and you'll also see it on the main screen. Right at the top here, you'll get a little triangle here showing you that there's a fault, and then you can go back into this and it'll give you a detailed list of what exactly is happening with the fault system. All right, so that's it for our main control panel. All right, so as we come in the door, just above our kitchen counter here, we've got our access for our 2 thermistors. Like I said, so one of these is for our furnace and one of them is for our control panel. Like I said, to give us a temperature reading inside the unit. Then below that, we have our remote for our Xantrax inverter system. So like I said, bottom right-hand corner here is how we turn it on. We just flick this little switch, and then the middle button allows us to go through the settings and read voltages, amperages drawing, how much power it's creating and such. All right, so we'll keep moving down. We've got some cabinets. Then we've got our kitchen sink, like I said, with our tap, with a pull-out sprayer. Like I said, if you ever find that this is catching, like I said, you just go underneath the cabinets and you can give the hose a little pull under there to help retract it all the way up. Then beside that, we have our induction cooktop. So like I said, one thing we want to remember is that we're going to need some good pots and pans with steel bottoms, because this uses a magnet to pull our induction heater up. And then once we've got our pot and pan on there, we just push the power button here, and then we choose either heat or temperature. Our heat, like I said, is just a 1 through 10 setting that we can adjust here with the positive and negative. Like I said, just like a range top on our stove at home. And then the temperature allows us to set a specific temperature, just like an oven, in order to set the exact temperature we want on the induction cooktop. Now down below that, we have some more drawers, and then we have our microwave here. Like I said, this is just a standard household microwave, nice and easy. Like I said, all your buttons and controls are on the right-hand side. Now, off to the left-hand side, we have our fridge. This is a compressor-style fridge, so nice and easy. All you have to do is push the bottom button here, hold it on. Like I said, the little blue lights will come on to let you know it's running, and then we can adjust our temperature at the top setting here, like so. And then, to shut it off, just hold the little button on the bottom, and all the lights will go off and let you know it's shut off. Nice thing about this is 12 volt, like I said, so you can run it while you're driving, like I said, and like I said, it will keep your things nice and cold, and it doesn't take a long time for this to get to cold temperature. Usually within half an hour, we've got nice cold inside of the fridge. Okay, so down below our fridge, right along the floor line here, we've got our furnace exhaust. Like I said, so this is where our hot air, when our furnace is running, comes out. And then along the bottom here, we have our return air for our furnace. So we want to make sure we don't block that off when we're running our furnace, so that it gets some good air in order to continue to run properly. Now, as we come back, like I said, on our passenger side, we've got 2 vents here for our inverter. Like I said, so this is where any heat from the inverter comes out into the unit, and you'll hear a fan running here when the inverter is charging, and anytime it's drawing power to run any appliances in your system as well. Now let's slip back across the hallway, and right on the top here we have our GFI that we were talking about earlier. Now this here controls all the outlets in the unit, as I was saying. Like I said, what you'll see is a little red light will come on if it's tripped. Like I said, and then you just push the little button on the side there, and that will reset it, and now all your outlets should be working properly. Below that, we have our propane carbon monoxide detector, a little test button on the right here. Like I said, you can check that anytime before you go out, just to make sure she's running properly. Like I said, this is plugged into your main 12-volt system. So, like I said, when you're not using your unit, that's one of the reasons why you want to use your main disconnect on your control panel. Okay, and then the last thing on the bottom here is our breaker panel. So this is our AC breakers. Like I said, just like in your house, if you have any problems with them, they'll trip and you just push them up to reset them. Okay, so now we've removed the cover from our rear driver's side Ottoman, and this allows us to get at some of our electrical controls. Like I said, our main grounds here on the top. Like I said, in this little compartment allows us to get at our Truma controller, so that if we need to check any error codes or anything that may be showing up on our main panel, like I said, this is where we come back to check. Like I said, and then in the top half of this, we've got our water heater and our reset breakers for our generator and our 12-volt system, and our bypass for our water heater here. So, like I said, our water heater bypasses are here. Like I said, right at the top in the red here, we'll see our hot water output. Like I said, is in the closed position. On the back here, like I said, we've got our white line that is our recirculating line. Again, it's in the closed position. As we move down, we've got a red and blue valve connected between two lines there. Like I said, that's our bypass. It's in the open position right now. And then at the very bottom, like I said, we've got our blue line. Like I said, that is our cold water input, and it's in the closed position. So right now, this is the closed or bypass position for winter. In summer, all you have to do is give these valves a quarter turn in order to, like I said, start running it once you've got the antifreeze out of the system, and they just give it a little quarter turn like so. And then, like I said, back to winter position. Okay, let's talk about your Pleasureways power system. There are two different sources of power inside your Pleasureway unit, and that includes an AC source and a DC source. DC, direct current, being your battery source, which supplies power directly to things like your USB ports, your LED lighting, your furnace motor and ignition, your water heater ignition. The second source is an AC source. This does things like your microwave, your induction cooktop, your air conditioner, and all your outlets inside your unit. For a complete list of all the AC or DC appliances in your unit, just check your manual. Like I said, there's a complete list included in there. When we're talking about AC source, there are three different ways to get AC power in your unit. The first being, of course, shore power, which is your plug-in that plugs into the side of the unit, plugs into a wall or a power box at the campground, and sends power just like your house would use. Okay, your second source for power is your generator, which will be used through gas to supply onboard power from the generator into your unit. And the third is inverter power. Now this takes your DC, your batteries, and changes that DC power into AC power, then supplies that AC power out to all the outlets and stuff I was talking about earlier. Now to figure out when's the best time to use these three power sources, if you've got access to full-time power at your campsite, shore power is always your best option for using AC power. Now, if you're dry camping, say a parking lot or away from power, and you've got full battery power, your inverter is your best option. It will supply your power. Now, if your batteries are low and you're still away from power source, then we want to use your generator, because your generator will supply your power and will charge your batteries at the same time. All right, so your Pleasureway unit comes with a 30 amp 110 power cord. It is a 3-prong plug like such, and this allows you to run everything inside your unit, from air conditioner to induction cooktops to microwaves, whatever your unit comes with, this will run it. Now we also have an adapter from 30 amp down to 15 amp. This allows you to plug in to a household outlet and will give you the ability to run pretty much everything in your unit except for the air conditioner. The air conditioner needs over 25 amps in order to start up. So like I said, this will not be enough to run that system. Now, one little caveat is there is such a thing as 30 amp 220. This will stick into it. If you plug it into that though, it will fry everything 110 in your unit. So just be careful. Most campgrounds are all 110. Most house outlets are all run to 110. But every once in a while you'll find somebody who's run their own one and wired it into 220. So just make sure before you hook up your system that you are hooked up to 110. So if a DC source has stopped working in your unit or tripped because of a short or something like that, your DC supply will automatically reset the breaker for each one of those circuits in the unit. On your G12 on your control panel, if you notice that one of the little blue lights beside an appliance is on, indicating that the appliance should be working and it is not, you'll want to go to the driver's side rear Ottoman and check your 50 amp disconnect breaker. It may have tripped. You may need to reset it. Once you reset it, that will now allow the power to flow through to all your appliances again. If your AC source has tripped because of a power surge or something like that, you have to go to your main breaker panel, check your breakers just like in your house, and if one is tripped, you just push it down, flip it back up, and that will reset your breaker and restart that circuit. So just a quick troubleshooting tip on your Pleasureway van's Ontour generator. There are a couple of breakers on your generator system that control the power for it. So one is under the driver's side rear Ottoman. It's an 80 amp reset breaker, and this controls the 12 volt power going to your generator. So check this if your generator is not starting. Now, if your generator starts and you're still not getting 110 power inside the unit, on the generator just inside the door, there's a little reset breaker. Just like on your main breaker system, it's just a quick flip up and down. Flip it up and that'll allow the power to flow out of your generator. All right, so for generator maintenance, we recommend that you run your generator once a month for 30 minutes on half a load. When you're putting your unit away for storage, you want to make sure that your gas tank is above a quarter tank in order to run your generator for maintenance during the winter. When you're going to run your generator for maintenance in the winter, you want to make sure that your batteries are at 100% charge or that the temperature is above 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit before you start running your generator. So when you're trying to heat up your batteries before running your generator, the easiest way to do it is to open up the battery box and run your furnace. That'll help heat your battery compartment up faster before you start running your generator. To run your generator on half load, the easiest way is to use about a 1,000 watt little heater or hairdryer in order to help bring up that load for that half-hour run. Directly in the cabinet above the rear Ottoman on the driver's side, they said we have our entertainment center controls and our GFCIs for our induction cooktop and our microwave. They said so our induction at the top, microwave at the bottom. I said, and just like the main GFI, you'll see it trip with a little red light and just push a reset to get those appliances working. On the top left-hand corner, we have our Winegard antenna on the roof. Like I said, we've turned it on, a little green light showing, and then we push the button on the left-hand side if we want to do a search. And what will happen is you'll see the little red light flapping around. And then once it's found, like I said, it'll tell you how many channels, like I said, it is found in the local area or how big a signal you found. Like I said, we'll just give you that show you the little red light flowing. And then once it's done, like I said, again, those numbers will come on to let you know what it's found. Below that, we have all our plugins for our Blu-ray player, our sound bar, and our television are all plugged in the plug-in just below the antenna here. And then just below the cabinet, like I said, we've got our Blu-ray player. Like I said, with the controls here, again, remote, like I said, comes with the unit. And this is already wired directly into our television. So we'll come down to our television here. Like I said, in the center of our television, there's a little strap we just pull out. And then the television pulls out, like I said, and we can flip it around to where we want to use it. And then, like I said, once we're done, like I said, we just push it back and make sure she snaps into place so that she's locked for travel. And then below that, we have our sound bar. Like I said, just in here, and again, in your packet, you will have a remote for it as well to increase or decrease your volume through that. Okay, so in the back center here, we have our table, like I said, which is rotatable, like I said, so we can use it in pretty much any position we want along the back of the unit. Now, each joint on the system has a little lever here, like I said, and we just pull out and release in order to release the pressure on it, like so, and that allows us to pull those little sliders in and out. So now there's another one here at the top. We'll release that. That allows us to take off the extended leg, and then that leg just slides on here and locks in place for travel. And now this is mounted behind the driver's seat, as I said, when you're not using it, so that it's out of your way. Okay, so now we're going to make up our bed. So the first thing we're going to do is go to our control panel and go to the mechanical screen. And like I said, we have sofa on here, so we'll just push the extend button and it'll bring down the rear bed. Okay, so that's the bed part. Now in our closet here behind our entertainment center is where our, like I said, boards are for supporting it. So they just come out of here. So then we just lift this up, slide it underneath. And there are two of those boards. Like that. And then all these little cushions just come in here to fill in the space. There, now we have our bed made. Now you can leave this in the down position for travel, so you can have the bed all made up with blankets and stuff, so that when you get to the campground, you're ready to go to bed if you're planning on arriving late. All right, so now we're going to go into our bathroom here. We'll just pop the door open here. And on our left-hand side here, we've got our shower hose and our handle. I said, so we've got access to our shower. Like I said, on the floor, like I said, underneath the toilet is our shower pan. So like I said, this whole area becomes our shower, or what we call a wet shower. Like I said, and then behind the toilet, we have our shower curtain that just pulls out and covers across, so you can actually leave the door open while you're using the shower. Gives you a little bit more space. Okay, so then we've got our toilet, like I said, which, like I said, the seat just pops up, and then we've got our foot valve here. So normally we just put that, step on that with our foot. That opens the valve and allows any of the waste to drop down. Also opens the valve and allows water to come into the bowl. So a couple things we want to mention about the toilet system is, one, we want to make sure that we're using RV toilet paper. Anything else, you're making paper mache in the black tank, and like I said, it's not good for it. Like I said, it'll plug up your valves and stuff. So you want to make sure that you use the RV toilet paper, because it breaks down as soon as it hits moisture. Like, makes it nice and keeps it clean. Second thing is you want to make sure you're using toilet chemical. So what you do when you first start off is you open your toilet valve, push it down, drop some chemical in. You can get it in liquids, powders, pellets, little tablets, whatever. Makes really no difference. Drop them in, add a little bit of water into the tank, creates a slurry in there that'll help break down your solid waste, and that'll start off. And you want to do that every time you drain your tank. So when you go to a dumping station, drain it out, then you come in, add some chemical, like I said, add some water to it, and they said that'll start your slurry for the next time you go out camping. The only time you don't do that is when you're winterizing your unit. You want to make sure that, like I said, there's nothing in there, that you've drained your black and your gray tanks out for winter. All right, so underneath our microwave, we'll pull out this drawer. Like I said, we'll release it. There's a couple little catches underneath the front edge. We'll just pop this up to show you that. Like I said, these little orange tabs, we just give them a push to pop out any drawers we need to remove. Then once we've got that open, now we have access to our water pump for winterizing. So on the right-hand side here, we have our filter. We just disconnect the line here, hook up our winterizing line, stick it in our jug of antifreeze, turn on the pump, and we're ready to go. All right, so that's your walkthrough for your Ontour 2.0. Now, if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to check your manual first. to talk to your local dealer or to call our helpline at Pleasureway Industries.